Welcome to Unstitching ADHD Urban Ed Talks, where we pull apart the systems, stories, and assumptions around ADHD, especially in urban and underserved communities. I'm your host, Dr. Stanley Akiyo. Today's conversation focuses on coaching, accountability, productivity, building confidence without shame. Before we examine systems and strategies, I want to start with the person behind the work. Today's guest is Shama Akram, a UK-based ADHD coach with lived experience of inattentive ADHD. She specializes in accountability, productivity, confidence, and acceptance. Welcome to the show, Shama.
Thank you, Stanley. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I really can't wait to get started.
Can you share your journey with inattentive ADHD and how it shaped your understanding of attention and self-trust?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to talk about it. So my inattentive ADHD diagnosis came in my sort of mid-40s. I'm now going to have to tell you my age, but I'm not going to say any of that. So you're just going to have to but late 40s. My journey started about 3 years ago when I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. And this was born because I was actually coaching someone with ADHD and I resonated with them so much. The overwhelm they felt, the constant noise in their head. I thought that was just me. It turns out quite a few of us have that problem. There's constant questioning. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. You've forgotten to do this. You're rubbish. There's a lot of noise and a lot of things that happen in our head. When I resonated with this person, it made me feel, okay, all of this now makes sense, because up until that point, I always thought there was something different about me and I couldn't figure out what it was, couldn't pinpoint. It wasn't anything major. It was just, oh, I don't think like that, or I don't do things like that. I do things like this, or I gamify my day to make sure that I'm getting things done. So to hear someone else go through exactly the same things that I've been doing growing up just made me feel that actually I'm in the right place. I need to be here for these people, and I want to be the coach that I could have done with growing up myself.
Thank you. You see, that's a very important point. Most people that were diagnosed shared the same experience. The late recognition and the early experience and not being able to put a name to it.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this, and hopefully people don't have to go through that experience. They are diagnosed early and the support is provided for them. So let's look at the title. Let's talk about coaching, right? Let's go into your area of specialty.
Yeah.
Why has ADHD coaching become such a critical bridge, right, alongside clinical services in the UK? And what gap does coaching fill?
Right. So the reason why coaching has become so intrinsic as part of the therapy and the kind of the different types of ways of being. So if you have a diagnosis or you feel that you go to your GP, the GP then refers you to a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist to get the diagnosis. And then after that, either you're going to go down the pill route or you can go down the holistic route, which is the coaching and therapy. So those two, like coaching and therapy, work really well together because they don't merge. So where therapy looks at the root of the problem, where did this come from? Where did the stories about you come from? What's causing the depression or any comorbid conditions, it addresses that. What I do is actually not look back on people. I ask them the right questions to give them the clarity as to why they think things are happening. I don't have the answers. That would be absolutely impossible. We ask the right questions to create clarity so that the coachee can see for themselves their own insight. And that is what I do. So using those questions, I'm able to push the person forward rather than looking back. It works beautifully with therapists because where the therapists do all the groundwork, it allows the person to then think, okay, now I know exactly what's going on there. What can I do with that information moving forward? And that's where I come in.
That's interesting. As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking when we talk about the gaps, that gap really widens for inattentive
Yeah.
ADHD. That takes me to our next question about misconceptions. There's so much out there. TikTok, this, that, everybody seems to know what ADHD is. And at times you're like, wait a minute. So, what are the biggest misconceptions about inattentive ADHD, and what tends to be missed most?
So, from my own experience, the reason why I fell through the cracks was because the misconception of ADHD was that there's hyperactivity and it's naughtiness. Somebody can't sit still and they're too loud, too disruptive, too noisy, too impulsive, spontaneous, all of these things, right?
Mhm.
With inattentive ADHD, it's also, I think in America, it was formerly known as ADD as well. With inattentive ADHD, it's characterized with more sort of focusing problem, difficulty in focusing, forgetfulness, a bit disorganized. We do have some elements of hyperactivity, but only when we feel passionate about something. For example, I will dance for hours and hours and I won't even realize I'm dancing for that long until the next day when I'm in agony and my body's about to break. But at that moment, because I'm doing something that I love, I'm completely time blind. I have no idea what's going on around me. I'm only focusing on that one thing. So that can sometimes come across as sometimes disruptive, a little bit hyperactive. My mom thought it was a bit of a problem because I wouldn't sit down. But what I found now with ADHD is that we're walking contradictions. We love structure, but we don't want to be told what to do. We want to have organization, but we can be quite messy at the same time. There are certain things that we feel very organized in because our brains are so chaotic. So it's the only way that we can control things. I'm not saying that it's mostly the girls that fall through the cracks. I'm not saying that at all. Boys also have inattentive ADHD because my son also has it. But his is displayed as utter laziness. He's so laid back that he's almost horizontal. It's not laziness, but people can misconstrue it as laziness. The fact that he can be quite rude sometimes, but that's not rudeness. That's just him telling it like it is. A lot of people see that as quite aggressive, but it's not. It's just him communicating in that way. So if I was to talk to him, I would have to say to him, I hear what you're saying, so that he knows he's been heard, and then I can continue the conversation. I always have to talk to him that way. If I go in and start saying to him, you said this to me, but you didn't, do you know what I mean? It's very confrontational and he won't like it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it really depends on the individual because everybody's inattentive ADHD is different. Everybody's ADHD per se is different. So approach with love and approach with patience and understanding. And it's easier for the other person to then respond back to you.
Interesting.
Well, answer the question.
No, that's okay. You're just summing it up. When you meet one person with ADHD, you have met one person with ADHD. Period.
That's
right?
it.
Right?
Bottom line. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The truth is being overlooked impacts accountability, right?
Yep.
Accountability without shame.
Yeah.
If you're, so how do you help clients build supportive accountability system? Small shifts, handling said.
Stanley, I love your questions.
Mhm.
Your questions are wonderful. So how do I approach accountability? So I gamify the situation.
Mhm.
They know that I'm going to call them at the same time, Monday to Friday, right? So the idea of accountability is if you know that I'm going to call you and you don't want to have the guilt and shame, you're more likely to get things done. Great. If you get things done, fab. We're on a roll. You're getting things done. We're winning. But I love it when people don't do what they're supposed to do, because that for me is absolute gold. I want to know why. And this isn't an attack on, why did you not get that done? No, I want to know, where was the fear in this case? Why did you not get it done? Was it fear of perfection? Fear of not looking good enough? Fear of failure? Fear of success? Where's the fear in this? And so every day when we get on the phone, as my mentor loves to say, he likes to shine the light on the fear of procrastination so that it starts to diminish. Because if we're talking about it, where's the fear? It's when we're not talking about these things, the fear becomes bigger and bigger because you start bringing in all the variables that give evidence to the story in your head. So the idea with the accountability is to let things go, accept the fact that sometimes we can't get everything done, and figure out a way of getting things done to match energy or to match, I say energy. What was the other one I was going to say? The passion. Whose prerogative is this? Where is your principles and the core values that excite you and make you want to do things? So those are the kind of things we cover in the coaching. And you might think 5 minutes a day is actually not enough. It can be enough. If you can keep it concise, what are you doing today? I'm doing this, this, and this. Great. Is it specific enough? Do you know what you need to get done? Yes. Great. We keep moving forward. So every single day, we're just moving that person forward. And it allows that person to actually see what it's like to win for one with the support. So that's what I do. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I am in my zone when I'm doing this. I can go on about this.
Yeah, I can feel the passion. And it's interesting how this reframes productivity, right? Thinking productivity. How do you redefine productivity for ADHD brains?
How do I define productivity for ADHD brains? Oh, wow. Guess it depends on the individual. Because productivity isn't doing the same thing day in, day out. Productivity is getting things done in a way that you're happy with. And then if you feel proud of the work you've done, you're more likely to get it done properly the next time and the next time and the next time. So redefining productivity is about looking at that person's energy as well. You're not just saying, right, it's Monday morning, what are you going to do? It is, how are we feeling today? Do we feel high energy? Do we feel low energy? And if Monday mornings there's a particularly low energy, why are we expecting to do high energy things? So it allows my coaches to have a look at themselves and say, if I'm low in energy, why am I trying to get things that require more from me? Isn't it better for me to do those things when I feel I'm higher energy later on in the day, for example? So like I said, everybody's different. We've got morning people, you've got afternoon people, and you've got night owls. And they all have different circadian rhythms for themselves.
Yes.
And so what I tend to do is try and work around that to see where their productivity is at its best and bring it out so that they have productivity throughout the whole day, but they're choosing when that productivity works for them. They don't have people telling them, you must do this or you must do that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that those people that work with neurodivergence and people with ADHD know about their rhythms and know that they can get things done. So they're okay with leaving them to it, providing that work gets done. And my job is to make sure that regardless of energy, it gets done. So if it's low energy stuff that needs to be done in the morning, so be it. Do the low evening admin stuff. The high energy stuff could be outreaches, calling people, having to talk on the phone. They might be better off in the afternoon. It's about changing what productivity mindset actually means. It's not a 9 to 5 solid 8 hours of productivity. Everybody's energy is so different. I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, you did. Excellent point. Out of that question, your answer, I know most times there's this pressure on neurodivergent individuals to meet goals, to do stuff. How can you, in your process of coaching, create or allow them to measure progress in concrete terms in a way that they can see that, yeah, I'm making progress?
There's a variety of ways, depending on how the client feels about using different tools. I mean, we've got your tools like Trello, Notion, Asana, and all of them are very visual. So it allows you to mind dump things that you want to use, pick out what is important from that mind dump so that you can then move them across. So it's almost like you've got a production line, a factory of production going. Productivity and seeing your productivity and seeing that measured works in a variety of different ways, depending on the person. I personally like to use something that's a bit more visual. So something like Trello or Asana works really well. It allows the person to mind dump. You're putting everything on there, then you're moving the cards across. For those people who are quite familiar with Trello will know what I'm talking about. but you've got these cards that you put on, and you can make these cards into different tasks for yourself and then move the tasks along so that you can pick out what is going to be important and then move them to the done pile. And if ever you felt like, oh, I didn't get a lot done today, have a look at your done pile. See for yourself how much you got done. And that really boosts their confidence, knowing, actually, you know what? I haven't been getting things done. It's all good. It doesn't have to be in the way that people think they are, but I'm quite happy with this progress. So it's about that acceptance as well, that you don't have to compare your journey to everybody else's because your journey is different anyway. That was established the moment you were born. And then from then on, you can choose, okay, maybe WhatsApp with the coach, because then you can chronicle all the conversations and you can see your own progress working from there. But can I be honest with you, Stanley? A lot of the progress is measured by the person on themselves and how they feel about themselves and the difference of opinion that they have about themselves. That for me is absolute diamond. That's what I want. This, because when they feel it in their heart and they can see it, that actually, you know what? I used to have meltdowns about this, but I don't get them anymore. Or I used to work really slowly on this, but now I feel like I can do anything. That change in mindset and that shift speaks more volumes than any to-do list.
That's exciting. Essentially, confidence.
Yeah.
Shift with your ability to reframe helps build that confidence, right? It's about the way you do things and working with that mindset. I think it's what I'm getting out of this.
Good. That means I'm doing a good job.
Yes. So what does building confidence and acceptance look like in practice? Mindset versus behavior.
That's a really difficult one to tell because for me, I have to really trust my coachee that they're telling me how they feel truly. They're not just building it up to try and people please coach. So for me, the confidence and acceptance comes from them being able to see their journey for what it is rather than trying to get to the goal quickly. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the circle of the highs and lows that comes with it, because that's life. Regardless of whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical, that is life. We have highs and lows happening all the time. And it's about approaching those lows with more confidence, knowing that there's a high coming back up again, that this too shall pass. And if they know that is the case and it's not the end of the world, there's more confidence in venturing, taking that step forward, being less tentative about your steps, knowing full well what it is you want to get and just simply going for it, knowing full well that you've got someone who's got your back and who's going to help you along the way, unpack what's going on. And if there is a bit of overwhelm, figure out where that overwhelm is coming from. It's as simple as that. And I think the confidence also comes from, I'll give you an example. I had a client once who was not very confident in themselves because they just didn't seem to get anything done. Their boss was on their case constantly because they weren't getting things done on time. They were losing a lot of confidence in themselves and they weren't sure whether they were going to get the job or be able to move forward with another job. What did I do with them? Well, first of all, we put in the structure of planning, prioritizing, and time stamping. So whatever was important on that day, they were able to highlight that and actually get that done. So the first step was to get rid of all the overwhelm and get that clarity in place so they could see what it is they needed to achieve. That already builds confidence. That's number one. Because if they know what they're doing, there's confidence in that. How they need to do it, I trust them. They're in the job, not me. It's their job, not mine. I trust them to get it done. How else do they build their confidence and acceptance? If they don't get things done and there's a reason why things are not getting done, i.e. the fear, and they understand that fear, again, now they're more confident because they understand what is going on. So it's about I'm not creating excuses for my clients and saying, no, don't worry, this is your ADHD. No, I ask them, okay, so why has that come up for you? What were you thinking when that happened? Or what were your thoughts when this happened for you? Because then that allows me to reframe that thought and that story they've held about themselves and pave the way for something bigger. What does that look like in my coaching practice? Well, I've already talked about giving them that clarity in the beginning, which provides that confidence, knowing that if they're not getting something done, there's a reason behind it. And it isn't just because of ADHD. There could be a variety of different factors, and highlighting that often gives them confidence to move forward. Removing those obstacles for them. What does that look like? Conversation, shining a light on the fear. If you're removing or diminishing the fear, then they've got the confidence to move forward. But my clients need to accept that this is the way they work. They're not going to work like other people. We are going to find a way to work with them. And there's something that I say, that every individual comes with baggage, right? And in that baggage, there's a unique set of tools that only they can use. My job is to unlock those set of tools for them.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love the way you are tying this together. This really now connects, right, to system change. Just listening to you. So let's dive into that. Where do systems fall short for
where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to start with this? Oh my gosh. I think first of all, there has to be a unique understanding for the way inattentive ADHD actually works. Because the misconception, and I had this issue as well growing up, that I was told to do better. Even though I'd put my 100% into something and I thought it was my best work, I still needed to do better. And that is actually a massive confidence, dive. My confidence dives. It's just like, I'm not good enough, or my work isn't good enough, or I'm never going to become what I need to become, or I'm never going to be able to pass this exam. Do you see what I mean? It just starts building that story because everyone keeps telling you the same thing. My school report, they always have things like being disruptive, because I would be quite impulsive. I would just say things, stuff like that. Wouldn't even think about whether I had to raise my hand or not. So the impulsivity was there. I have emotional dysfunction because I just didn't, because of the lack of understanding of my ADHD, a lot of people would misunderstand me and that would send me spiraling. I'd get very emotional about things and I just didn't know how to say what I needed to say. So for schools, that understanding of people, and if they have neurodivergence of any kind, even if it's autism, ADHD, or whatever, to have a unique understanding about that person's individuality and not to try and put them in a box. I feel neurodivergents are already so individual, and the last thing they want is to be lumped in with everybody else and be treated like everybody else. There's got to be a better way of saying this. Let me think about this, Stanley. I need to think about the best way to say this. Because what I find is that I've found this as well. It's like when I've got clients who are 12, 13, 14, 15, going upwards, right? And what I've noticed about them is that they don't want people to be sad, mad, or bad, feel those things about them. And that for me is so poignant because I felt like that when I was little. I didn't want people to be mad at me because I was doing something wrong. I didn't want to look bad in front of people. And I didn't want people to be upset with me if I said something offensive. I was constantly on my guard, and that was exhausting. What I would like schools to do is to celebrate neurodivergence individuality and to recognize what they can and can't do and work with them in that regard. I'd love to be a coach to all these people. In fact, I'm actually in the process of putting together a course that is called Building Foundations, which allows children from about 15, 16, at the moment, when they're 12, 13, they're still a bit too young to understand certain things. But when you become 15, 16, 17, so that's when, you start having that executive function kicking in. I want to be able to teach them how to plan, prioritize, and timestamp. I want them to make decisions based on who they are and what they want in their life and to feel confident about making their own decisions. So there's different frameworks that I've put in place in order for them to make decisions effectively. Risks as well, measure that. Decisions based on their happiness and not feel that they're going to be shamed into that. To visualize something and be able to attack it and do it with intention is really important for children. And I really want them to learn that. So I'm actually doing that right now. I'm going to be building that and I'm going to be launching that hopefully in the first quarter of 2026, inshallah. That's the plan. But I would love to be able to roll that to all schools for them to promote their own individuality and to say to the teacher, this is who I am and what I'm about.
It's awesome. It's really great the way you're tying this together. We talk about systems, but dismantling the system to be inclusive, even though everybody tends to talk about inclusivity, it's such a challenge. So, what can we do for listeners right here that are like, what can I take from this insightful conversation? What's one step you can, right now, from your experience, say, hey, do this today and start the process?
Sign up to coaching. Sign up to me is number one. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I just thought I'd just throw that in there. But yeah, no, I wasn't joking, but I am. Okay. So I think for my neurodivergent community, the biggest gift I can offer you, if you really want to learn how to hold yourself accountable, is to start looking at your day and plan it. Every morning, when we wake up, we always feel very foggy in the mornings. You know, everybody does. It's because you're just waking up. You're not sure what the day's like or anything like that. So I would urge you guys to kind of have an overlook as to what your day is going to look like. So what kind of things are you looking to do today? What kind of things you need to do today? Once you've sat down and done the overall plan, then you start looking at the priority. What are the top 3 tasks I need to get done today? Start off with 3. Just start off with 3. When you start getting confident with the 3, you can move up to using 5 items a day. And then when you finish them, the next 5. But in this case, choose your top 3. Once you've chosen your top 3, the next thing is to timestamp. Timestamping is super important for 2 reasons. One, we're all naturally quite time blind anyway. So it allows us to look at our expectation versus our reality. How long do we think something's going to take versus how long it actually does? Then for next time, we know how much time we need to give to something. So if a task is coming up that would normally take an hour, but you're taking 2 hours, we need to figure out why. But that's okay. That's acceptance of knowing that's how you work. Planning, prioritizing, and timestamping daily, I can minimize a lot of the overwhelm. I've probably given way too much that I'm supposed to for free. So if you want to know more, get in touch with me. And I was a poet and I didn't even know it.
So you see, that is leading to our next question. Well, I wasn't going to let you go without my listeners knowing how to reach you to get more information and to see how this works. This is your stage right now for more information.
So you can email me on Sonic Cyrene. That's Sonic, one word, Cyrene, Syrene @gmail.com. I'm also on social media, namely Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all as Serenity Coaching. Spelling is Syrenity. Those are the main ways that you can get in touch with me. By all means, DM me if you want to know more.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Shama, for being part of this conversation.
So
Your
welcome.
voice helps unstitch stigma, silence, and systems that have historically failed people with ADHD. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on Unstitching ADHD Urban Ed Talks and participating in this conversation. Until next time, keep the discussion going. And remember, the sun is behind the cloud and will always shine for those who are patient and persistent. Shama,
I love that.
Thank you for being with us, and we'll give you the last word.
Oh, really? That could go on for a while. Have we got enough time? No, I'm joking. Guys, ADHD has been labeled wrong right from the beginning. We do not have a deficit in attention. Our attention is just diverted. So attention diverted. Our hyperactivity is not a disorder. Think of yourselves as, if everyone's got an iPhone, you are a Google phone, an Android. So your computer processing unit might work slightly differently from everybody else's, but you can still do exactly the same things as everyone else. You just accept yourself for who you are and come to me if you need any more information. Just say.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. This has been great, and I hope we'll have another opportunity of bringing you in here to share some insights. This is really great.
I just want to say, just remember, it's not attention deficit. It's attention diverted, hyperactivity driven even,
So